So welcome to my grief series that we're doing. And I think that I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more videos, I think, for a total of 7, because yesterday was the 7-year anniversary of when my babies were born into a petri dish. I mean, they wouldn't have existed outside of that unless we transferred them to Michelle's womb, obviously, but I became a mother the day I dreamed of becoming a mother. I definitely became more of a mother the day we paid lots of money for IVF, and the day that those embryos, that we got the phone call that there was 2 embryos that first round, and even more of a mother the day that we transferred them into Michelle and prayed that they would take. And I was even more of a mother the day that we learned that they didn't take. So I called today's What If This Grief video, But Why? And I felt drawn to do this today versus next week or whatever. Never promised you a schedule for this series, but I have had multiple sudden deaths in my life, like acquaintances, like people that I went to college with that I didn't really know well, whatever. But I know, like I'm closer to the people who were closer to them. And like, I'm talking those kinds of deaths that like leave you really wondering, that shouldn't happen, that have no explanation, that are just sad. And every death is sad. And what it kept bringing up for me is what has come up a lot. I mean, I've been in mental health for 19 years. And this is a concept that I have taught to my clients for a long, long time. And it just, God would not let it go as I kept hearing like these very tragic stories. Why does that happen? But why? Why does it have to be this way? And I don't care what your why is. I don't care if it's an unexpected death. I don't care if it's a changed relationship. I don't care if it's infertility and loss. I don't care if it's a lost job, a lost dream. We're going to talk about all of those things throughout this series, because what you're going to learn, like, it's all just freaking grief. Like, it's just grief. And if you give yourself permission to start calling it that, I believe that you will, and you do some of this work, you will heal. That you'll begin the path to healing. So the question of why, we will probably never get the answer. For those of us who are believers, we'll get the answer on the other side. Like, I have no doubt I'll meet Jesus and I will have this clarity of why. And I also fully expect to still be adamant in who I am and ask him, you still owe me an explanation. Why do they get 6 kids? And I didn't even get 1. And I also have no doubt that he will look at me and say, daughter, you know. Because I already have so many glimpses of that now. You will, especially if you choose to do the work of healing, you will receive glimpses of the big why. Why the hard stuff happens, why death happens, why it happens the way it happens, why loss happens. You will, if you do the work to heal, get glimpses of the why. And what I also can assure you, after years of doing this work, personally, but then also being in mental health for as long as I have, is that the why is never, ever enough. It's never a good enough reason as to why they died so young. It's never a good enough reason as to why you suffered that abuse. It's never a good enough reason as to why they treated you that way. It's never a good enough reason as to why they didn't show up and do their damn job. It will never be enough. You don't need the reason why to choose to heal. You don't. Because then we're all screwed. because I don't think we will get the big be all end why. And if you do get it, it's just not going to be enough. One of my last clients I saw, also an infertility warrior, she has a family member who, by all judgments, and it's a total judgment, should not be having another baby. And her and I don't get any. Number one, it's above my pay grade. I don't want to be the judge and jury. I don't, that's not my place to judge. Also, number two, it's not my job to know the why. Like, I don't get that bigger picture ever. Maybe in eternity. You don't need the why to heal. Now, the why also comes in with victim mentality, which I struggle with so much. Because we will all have shit. We will all have traumas, losses, and tragedies. We will all have hard to recover from. We are only victims if we choose to be. And yet, I react really strongly to the victim mentality because it scares the crap out of me because I get pulled into it so easily. Like I literally just said, like, why does she get 6 and I get none? When we stay stuck in the why, we question the fairness of life. We question the fairness of God. For me, it's God and Jesus. For you, it might be the universe. I don't care. We are all rooted in something that is, we all have something that is bigger than us. We have to. Because otherwise this shit doesn't make sense. And it's way too hard without it. And that thing is rooted in love and belonging. Nature, universe, God. I don't care. But what I know is that it is always working for our good. If you do go to scripture, Jeremiah 29:11, plans to prosper you and for hope. Romans 8:28, in all things he works for good. Like those are the two big ones that everyone always quotes. But even like if you are a universe person, like all things are always working in my favor. I am safe. I am loved. Like, and at the same time, when someone in your life or in you or right now are in the deepest, darkest hellhole of grief, that stuff doesn't really come in handy. It feels more comfortable to ask, why is this happening? And that question is my greatest darkness because it keeps me stuck. I don't serve the world or honor my babies if I get stuck in the why she gets 6 babies and doesn't deserve them and I get none. We don't serve the world or honor our loved ones that we have lost if we keep stuck in the why it's happening or we question the fairness. I don't think I've ever told this story publicly really. When I was working on the first TED Talk, I was really struggling with delivering a joke, and my story is super hard, and which means that I have to make you laugh, and I also choose to curse because the brain research shows that if I make you laugh or I let an F-bomb fly because it's the most authentic thing I can do, is that you are literally disarmed. Your brain opens up to receive the lesson that I'm trying to teach you. And so my TED coach was like, I can still feel your pain when you're trying to deliver that joke. And I was so mad. And thank God I had my coach, Cassandra, because Cassandra of Life Worth, like, she was like, okay, let's discover the block. And she finally got me because I was like, it's not fucking fair. Like, it's not fair. One, it's not fair that I have to make you laugh to receive my really hard story. And 2, it's not fair that I don't get them. And there's way more videos coming on that because I love my life. Like, so then there's all that crap that pulls up into it. So Cassandra at that time ordered me. She was like, you need to not work on this TED Talk for a whole day. And I was like, no. Like, I have to do 200 rehearsals. It's in 2 weeks. And she goes, no, you're not to rehearse it at all. You need to walk the dogs, listen to your worship music, go in the Word, watch a movie, sit outside, lay in your pool, whatever. Like you are not to work on it. And so I was walking the dogs, my tiny harem of Mexican dogs, singing worship music. My neighbors probably think I'm insane. And Crowder, How He Loves Us comes on. And I My spiritual pathway is not typically to hear God audibly. I have heard God audibly maybe twice, and this was the first time, and it was super strong. And he said, "Don't ever question my fairness." And yet, at the same time, like I said earlier this week when I introduced this series, because trauma lives in our body, and because anniversary dates can bring it right up to the surface, or because something else triggers it, or we're tired, or we're hungry, or whatever it might be, it's gonna be easy to go back to that mentality because it feels comfortable and it feels like it's the fix. Like in church this weekend when he was like that bargaining part, and I was like, I go, you owe me this to be successful because you took them away from me. And in a second, because I've done so much work around it, in a second, I know that doesn't honor them. And it sure as hell doesn't honor the work that I have done in my life. And that questioning of his fairness or the universe's fairness, feel it. Take a breath, breathe through it for a second, and then you grasp on to the gift that it is, because it's a thank you. Because those three were the only way I got to him. Those three are the only way that I became the best version of myself. Those three that I never got to meet made me do this hard-ass work to love myself, which means I can love you all a lot better. I am happy. Would I trade it? I don't know anymore, because that's how much work I've done and how much trust I have that all things are working for me. And at the same time, it's still really hard and sad. So, I have those on here, complicated. I'm going to talk about, so many of you want me to talk about, like, when it's not necessarily a death. We're going to talk about the comparison part. We're going to talk about the and, of course. I'm going to talk about the lifelong part. So all of this is coming. When you stay stuck and questioning why it happens, you don't serve yourself. You don't honor the person or your story either. That's victim mentality. And it doesn't mean that you have to poop rainbows and butterflies all the time. You get to feel sad. And you must do the work to stay out of victim mentality. That's the and. We are so close to monetization on the YouTube channel. Please follow at the YouTube channel. My books are on sale right now over on Amazon, like 50% off. My online course is raising in prices tomorrow if you want to do that. The 7-7 Happy Challenge is halfway done. It's not too late to join us. We're going to do it again at the end of July. So it's $7. Might as well try it. And I will have another What If It's Grief video 3 coming out at some point. So thank you for your grace. And thank you for showing up. And perhaps getting a little curious about this work that I am offering you. And not just watching it, but choosing to do it to change your life. Make it a great night.